request. Today I'm taking you back in time. That's right, we're going back to the 80s with the classic movie Back to the Future. I have a friend who owns a DeLOREAN time machine replica from the movie, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the history behind it and what all he's done with it. So let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Scott Mulholland. I'm the owner and operator of Ohio Time Machine Rental, The Experience, located here at Indian Mound Mall.
So tell me, Scott, how did you get the car?
So I won the vehicle actually on eBay. The car was registered in St. Lucia, Florida, and at the time the auction was only going on for about another 10 minutes, so I didn't have very long to decide on that, but once I saw the car and I saw the pics of how well the car was maintained, I decided to go ahead and bid on it and won it.
So can you tell me why you bought the car?
That's probably one of the number one questions I normally get. Why did I get the vehicle? Well, that's kind of a two-part question. Why did I get a stock DeLorean, or why did I get a DeLorean time machine? In actuality, I didn't want to get just a stock DeLorean. It was when I saw the car on eBay, it was for a stock car, which means I also had to purchase to get the car modified. But that's the only way that I saw the DeLorean. I didn't see any other way other than a DeLorean time machine. I did it primarily because I always wanted to own a DeLorean time machine. I had a lot of goals where I wanted to just, purchase certain things on my bucket list. This was one of them, and then I just turned it into essentially a business where I rent the car out to private events, corporate gigs, or as I'm doing here currently, a pop-up shop.
How long have you had the car?
So I bought the car on eBay back in October of 2017, but I didn't actually get my hands on the car until May of 2018. What had happened is I bought the DeLorean, the stock DeLorean off eBay, and then I had it shipped to a Universal Studios mod builder in Oviedo, Florida, and 7 months later he sent me the car. It was in the middle of May, I don't remember the exact date, but I had the car shipped up to me in the middle of May on 2018.
So how long did it take to build the car?
Good question. Normal builds take about 4 to 5 months depending on availability of parts and then of course who's modifying it. If you don't really know what you're talking about when it comes to modifying, and if you're not really an electrician, you're just trying to work your way through and how to basically install a outlet or a ceiling fan, it's probably going to take you 3 times longer than someone that's experienced. Well, it's kind of the same thing with the DeLorean time machine. A standard professional can have it modified within 4 to 5 months. Because my car was shipped at a very unique time during the year, my mod builder had other projects. So it actually took 7 months in order for the car to be constructed. But when you look at the specific parts of the car, from the bending of the flux bands to the welding of the shuttle vents in the rear of the car, you can tell there's a lot of craftsmanship involved there that does take a particular, I guess you'd say, expert hand in order to modify and do.
What's it like driving a replica?
Well, the car itself isn't anything different than you would drive a normal vehicle. I think the shock value, or I guess you could say dazzle, that comes to actually driving the car goes away pretty quick. It runs like a 1981 vehicle would run. You have ancient technology that you are sitting in and you're relying on to get you from A to B. While the props and whatnot are very cool, it does get old pretty quick. But the car itself runs well. There's always that wives' tale that DeLoreans are horrible cars. I personally disagree. I think it really applies on how well you take care of your vehicle. So for example, people say, like a F-150 truck is a horrible truck to have as opposed to a Chevy, what have you. I think it's all personal preference. I think it's really on the owner of the car and how well they take care of the vehicle that makes the difference. So as far as driving the car, I have no issues. The car runs great, and when I do ride-alongs, people seem to really enjoy that experience and never have an issue with it.
So is there anything that separates your car from other replicas?
When I first started this whole journey on owning a DeLorean time machine, I had given thought about just owning it as a prop car and having it as part of like a collection, to where every now and again I would take it out. I never really looked at owning it as a business in general until I got further along the planning process of owning a car. And then I got to look at, well, there's a lot of prop cars out there, like a Jurassic Park Jeep, the Ghostbusters Ecto-1, just to give you a few examples, even the Knight Rider. So then you have to look at what creates the most attention. You know, if I was driving down the road and you saw, say, a Pontiac, black Pontiac driving down, would you really know it's a kit car unless you see the license plate that says Knight, or you see that little red thing flashing back and forth? A Jurassic Park Jeep, you know, unless you see the symbol that says Jurassic Park, would you really know it's a Jurassic Park car? So aside really from the Ecto-1, the other prop cars to me don't really stand out to the point as the Back to the Future car does. And I don't want people getting upset when they hear that comment. There's nothing against those other prop cars, but what differentiates my vehicle from those cars, I guess you could say, is the props that are on the vehicle. The way my car lights up. I mean, when people see a flux capacitor, or excuse me, a flux band, or the Mr. Fusion on the back, it's immediate. It is a Back to the Future car. I don't need to have a sign that says Back to the Future or a logo like other vehicles may. So yeah, I think that's kind of like the biggest difference between the two or other prop cars as opposed to the DeLorean time machine.
So if someone wants to own one of these cars, what should they expect?
Number one, have a bank account. Number two, learn to be a mechanic. Unless you have someone that's extremely knowledgeable in what's now considered an antique vehicle, I would definitely read up and know your history on these cars. DeLoreans are prone to have a lot of electrical issues as well as mechanical problems. I mean, understand, the history on this car in general has a very, unfortunately, a rather shady history. There's this big misconception that the cars were used to transport narcotics, and that's not true. There's several autobiographies on DeLorean, and I think I would probably start there, just understanding the history of the car in general. But as far as the DeLorean time machine, there's a lot of custom-made props on this car that you just cannot find. You must fabricate them, or you're going to be spending thousands of dollars to get a replacement. You know, for example, the time circuits, you know, that's a few $1,000s just for the time circuits. The Mr. Fusion can cost you anywhere upwards of $1,400. Flux bands, having someone professionally mock these flux bands and you know, bend metal, essentially what you're doing, pipe, to get it to angle correctly. That in itself takes a lot of time and a lot of expertise in order to get down right. So there is a lot that goes into these cars, which hence is why there's anywhere between a $60,000 to $70,000 price tag to mod one of these things. So you have the price of the car, which is going up. I mean, you could find a DeLorean for, you know, a good running DeLorean for over $45K. The price of the cars are just skyrocketing. You might find one for $20,000, $30,000, but you're going to be putting money in to make it run. Or you might have to put money in to change the cosmetics of the car. So, you know, there's all those factors that go in to owning one of these vehicles and the maintenance that it requires. So those are just some things I would think about before deciding to purchase one of these cars. Now, as far as the business portion of it, it's still new. So I think there's a lot of potential in being a DeLorean time machine owner and running it as a business. Just because of the fact there isn't a lot of information out there that businesses, small companies, what have you, even, you know, people in general that are running a community outing to just something private at their home, they don't realize that this is something that is possible for rent, that they could use as a static display at their own home or business. So getting that information out there just takes a lot of time. but it can be very beneficial for you financially wise if it is something you're wanting to pursue. But I would say give yourself a budget if you're wanting to run it as a business between 150 to 200K, because you're going to need something to trailer it with, you know, marketing, things of that nature. If you're just wanting to own one as a prop car and just have it as a private collection, I would say give yourself a cushion of 120,000.
So if someone is interested in bringing your car to an event, how would they go about doing that?
So of course I own Ohio Time Machine Rental, The Experience, but it's based off of our standard company name, OhioTimeMachineRental.com. If you go on there and check my website, you'll see what we do outside of this store. The history of bringing up this pop-up shop at Indian Mon Mall was due to the pandemic. We didn't really have a lot of sales going on. Obviously, things were shut down. There weren't a lot of activities happening. We did some small weddings and private events, but nothing to the caliber of corporate functions we were doing in the past. So to continue revenue going, we decided to do a pop-up shop in our local community, because we do live in Newark, and you know, bringing an opportunity for people to experience the car at a much lower rate than it would be us going to them. So, you know, we spent about 3 months in planning a store, a pop-up store, which in a previous video, which I'm sure will be linked to this one, kind of showcases what is in the store as far as merchandise, other sets that we've created, and of course the experience being getting to see the car and getting photos with it. That's essentially is what pretty much pays the bills for the most part. But we've developed essentially a movie set theme to Back to the Future with a Hill Valley ambiance to it, with the 9-foot clock tower and then the car. And of course, sometimes I think in the previous video I had it in its hover mode. Right now it's in its driving mode. Right now, we always like to try to change it up and give the customer different opportunities to see the car in different phases. As well as sometimes we'll bring in actors coming in that portray Doc Brown and Marty McFly, just to kind of add a little more experience to the customer that's coming in. But you know, essentially it's just to kind of get us through this tough time, so we're able to venture back out and do more gigs, which is slowly happening currently right now. I don't ever foresee us leaving the mall, unless the mall obviously finds something to replace us. But thus far, Newark and the Heath area have been great as far as welcoming us into the community.
All right, that's going to conclude our interview, Scott. Thanks for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Now, is there any way that people can contact you for future events, or how does that work?
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate your time. And if anyone's looking for a DeLOREAN time machine for their event, or want to come check out our pop-up store here at Indian Mon Mall in Heath, Ohio, feel free to check us out at OhioTimeMachineRental.com.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the future.